Chapter 52, The Lord Bears His Holy Arm. Chapter 52 begins as a prophecy for the two major cities of the millennium, Zion and Jerusalem. The Lord commands Zion to awake and put on her beautiful garments. These garments are not only the robes of the holy priesthood, but also symbolic wedding garments in anticipation of Christ's marriage to his covenant people. The Lord is speaking to those who have priesthood power in the last days, the power to bring again Zion. He's telling his people to put on the authority and power of the priesthood, that they may perform the miracles necessary for this work. In their purity, they will also be able to throw off the curses of God that have held them back, for God's people have sold themselves into iniquity through their indulgence in sin. And when the Assyrian king invades their land, their wealth will not be able to save them. But when these covenant people finally come to know God's name and what it means for them, they'll begin to awake and throw off their sins. The phrase, "How beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of him that bringeth good, that publisheth salvation," pertains both to the Lord and to all the holy prophets ever since the world began. But according to Nephi, it also refers to all people who publish peace and tidings of great joy. The phrase, "Thy watchmen shall lift up the voice, with the voice together shall they sing," was actually quoted twice by the risen Lord, and quoted twice again by Abinadi, thus signifying its importance. The Lord said these words will be fulfilled when the Gentiles no longer have power over covenant Israel, and after the house of Israel goes through among them and treads them down. When this happens, the Lord's people will break forth into joy, for the Lord will personally comfort his people in Zion and in Jerusalem. The waste places of Jerusalem mentioned here refers both to the ruins of the ancient city after years of war, as well as to the waste places of the latter-day covenant people after they have fled to Zion. When they are rebuilt, both the ancient city and the cities of Ephraim will be rebuilt in greater magnificence than ever before. The Lord will make bare his holy arm in the eyes of all the nations refers not only to the Lord making his power clear and obvious to the world, but it also refers to the Lord revealing his anointed servant to the world. Remember, the servant will be initially hidden in the shadow of God's hand, but when the Lord calls him forth, the Lord will use him as his arm, just as he used Moses as his arm. It was President Thomas Monson who said that we are the Lord's hands here upon the earth. He is dependent upon each of us. And then shall a cry go forth, depart ye, go ye out from thence, go ye out of the midst of her. Through his prophet, the Lord will call his righteous people forth from Babylon. And as they go out to build Zion, they will be commanded to touch not that which is unclean. Be ye clean that bear the vessels of the Lord. And if this people is clean, they will be led by Christ along their journey. And they won't need to hurry in this journey, and they won't need to worry about food or water, for God will provide all for his righteous people. The Lord will also use his right arm, his servant, to lead them. For he, the servant, shall deal prudently. This is the man who will have been taken to the very throne of God that Isaiah once saw, and there, at God's foot, this servant will be exalted and be instructed in preparation for his mission. Isaiah then offers a revealing footnote about the servant. Almost as an aside, he says, "As many were astonished at thee, his visage was so marred more than any man, and his form more than the sons of men, so shall he sprinkle many nations." This verse might be reworded this way: as many will be astonished by him, because his face and form will be disfigured more than man can be and still live, so shall he astonish many nations. In other words, as many people will be astonished by this man's ability to live through a terrible physical marring, so will they be astonished by the miraculous works he performs in the commission of his work. The Lord himself spoke of this marring twice, once in 3 Nephi 20, 44 through 45, and again in 3 Nephi 21, 9 through 11. And when one considers how few pages the Lord's words receive in 3 Nephi, it is telling that he chose to address this subject twice. The Hebrew word for sprinkle can also mean to purify. Thus, Isaiah is saying that this man will purify those he leads. Joseph Smith also translated this word as gather in the JST. So the phrase can mean that this servant will gather and purify many nations. This will truly be a great work. So great, in fact, that kings around the world will fall mute in astonishment at what the servant does. Over the years, some have believed that this man was Joseph Smith. But of course, Joseph was not marred more than man can be and still live, nor did he smite the earth with the rod of his mouth, or slay the wicked with the breath of his lips. Some have also asserted that Jesus Christ will return to do these things before the millennium. But of course, the Lord makes clear throughout Isaiah that he will do these things through his messenger, the Lord's servant. All this and more is explained in the book, The Words of Isaiah. I'm Curtis Taylor with The Words of Isaiah.